Welcome to my Lasso podcast. Let's get into it. Today is Thursday, and it's Haunting Adeline Day. Let's go, baby. I've been waiting a whole week for this shit. It is chapters 9 and 10. I'm excited. The last time we left off, Adeline had a encounter of the wiener kind, and yeah. We can't wait for Zayd to come up in this motherfucker and be like, oh, you did what to my woman? Swear to Bob. Whoo, he's about to get his penis chopped off. But before we get into Haunting Adeline, we have our thread. Today's thread is, what's the most insane true crime story you've heard of? All right. So let's get into it. Mary Vincent, she was 15 and was hitchhiking to get back home. She was picked up by Lawrence Singleton, who tied her up, raped her, cut both of her arms off at the forearms, and threw her down a ditch off the side of the highway. Mary used mud to slow the bleeding, climbed up the ditch, and traveled 3 miles before she was picked up and given emergency care. She then went on to design her own prosthetic arms and become an artist. What the fuck? Yo! Wow! Imagine going through all that and you're only 15 years old. That's crazy. Homeboy chopped off. He just chopped it off right here. So she's got pretty much just this. And so she was just like, let me just get some mud and cover it up. And she crawled up there. That's crazy. Wow. Woo. Man, hey, at least she came out on the other end with a W, you know. Goodness. All right, Charles Holden. He picked up a hitchhiker, was threatened with his screwdriver that was on the floor of his car, escaped, drove in the opposite direction of his house to make sure he wasn't followed, returned home only to find the same hitchhiker around his trailer, and his mother, Dorothy Donovan, murdered with his screwdriver, all because the murderer randomly chose his house. Wow. Damn, so he picked up this hitchhiker. This hitchhiker then got the screwdriver off of his floor. He drove around a little bit, and homeboy just randomly picked his house. Yo, imagine. And then on top of that, it's like, that was your screwdriver that they used for the murder weapon. So it's like, they trying to, they trying to frame you. Oh, shit, dude. Yeah, this is why you never pick up hitchhikers, ever. Leave them motherfuckers on the side of the road. Like, no, thank you. Woo! God damn. Trying to do something nice. That's crazy. One that got me fucked up was a story of a pregnant woman that joins an online Facebook group of other pregnant women. She then befriends a member and they get chatting. Eventually, the pregnant woman invites the woman over for tea. Police then find out expecting mother murdered in her home and realized her baby is missing. Wait a minute, did she cut the baby out? Yeah, someone cut the baby out of her stomach and stole her child. No! They traced the communications on Facebook to a mother that just recently gave birth to her child. It turns out it was all a lie. The lady lied to her friends and family about being pregnant, then befriends an actual pregnant lady just so she can murder her and steal her child. DNA test proves that the baby was not hers and is from the victim. What the? So you lie about being pregnant to join this Facebook group or whatever. Like, yeah, I'm pregnant too, bitches. What's up? Yeah. And then they become friends on, come over to your house, blah, blah, blah. She kills the lady, cuts her open, and is just like, bitch, you lied. You're not pregnant. Then leaves, befriends another lady, and then is like, oh, you're actually pregnant? Sweet. Let me just cut you open. Oh, you're mine now. You know what I mean? And then they find the bitch, and then they're like, that's not your baby. A DNA test proves that the baby is to the dead chick, and we can now connect you to that lady and you killed her. Wow. That is crazy. Imagine. Oh, wow. Woo. Damn, son. Yeah, that's why I own a gun. Jesus. All right, the Ryan Waller story is wild. All right, he was interrogated for allegedly killing his girlfriend while he had a bullet visibly lodged in his face. He kept telling the cops he was a victim and shot, but they didn't believe him. Instead of getting him medical help, they kept questioning him, and the delay left him with permanent brain damage. Prime example of police negligence. There you go. That's how you say that word. I'm over here like, I'm my tongue all tied and shit. That's crazy. Just the fact that you got shot in the head and the bullet's just chilling in your head. Like, yo, imagine that shit. Imagine that. That is absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. Oh. All right. Let's see. Okay, on to our next one. What's the most insane true crime story you have ever heard? Oh, geez, there's a few. Catherine Knight is up there. Stabbed and butchered her husband before cooking him and setting up plates for her kids. Yo! She also hung his skin in the doorway. Wow. It's bad enough that you killed your husband, but then you feed him to your children? What the fuck?
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
That's crazy. That's crazy. And then the children, they have to live with knowing that they ate their dad. Knowing that they ate their dad. That is scary. Imagine your mom tells you like, oh, bon appetit. And then like years later, they're like, oh, yeah, it's time to finally tell you the truth of what happened to your dad. Like, I unalived him and you ate him. Like, the horror. And it would be even wilder if like they came back to their mom and they're like, hey mom, you remember that dish that you made? It was really fucking good. And I couldn't tell what that meat was. I've been trying to find it. I couldn't. The taste was so unique and the texture, like it was so tender. You know what I mean? Like, what was that? What meat was that? Imagine, dude. Oh, fucking A. Dude, no. And then hanging the skin in the doorway. What was that all about? Yeah. Oh, shit. Sorry, one moment. Got the... Okay. All right, on to our next one. Oliver Town. Around 50 years ago, a guy... Oh, Jesus. You're annoying. Go away. You're annoying. Go away. Okay. Oh, goodness. Okay. All right. Go away. All right. Oliver Town. Around 50 years ago, a guy held up a bank in Kenora, Ontario. He handed the bank teller a note asking for all the money. A large amount of explosives was strapped around his chest, and a detonator was clenched between his teeth. His teeth, okay. He walked out of the front door of the bank where a large group of people were gathered, tripped, and the explosives went off. Wow. They were never able to identify the man, so they gave him the nickname Oliver Town. Oh, because it's all over town. So he blew up, and now his remains are all over the town. So they gave him the nickname Oliver Town. That's crazy. Imagine going through all that just to blow yourself up. Like, bruh, imagine going through all that just to blow yourself up. That's crazy. That's so fucking wild. Oh my God. Damn, man. All right. What's the most insane true crime story you've heard? Joseph Fritz kidnapped and hid his daughter in the basement for 24 years while fathering 7 incestuous children with her. Alleged Fritz's wife had no idea this was happening. Was this the guy that they made the movie about? Where he locked his daughter up in that basement and then he was having babies with her and shit. And then I guess one of the kids got sick and needed to go to a hospital. And because she convinced him to take her and the child to the hospital, she was able to get the police on him and be like, yo, he locked me up in the house for so many years and whatnot. Yeah, I want to say that's the same story because that's what it sounds like. Like, that shit is absolutely wild. I want to say that's what it is. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but I think that one is it. But all right, on to the next one. What's the most insane true crime story you've heard of? Allison Botha. She held her own head on and lived. Wait, what? She held her own head on and her own intestines in after a brutal attack and lived. Wait. What? So she was her head like chopped off and she just like held it on and then her intestines were falling out of her stomach and she held it in and then, yeah. Wait, hold on. No. Yeah, whoa. She was like halfway decapitated and she held her head on and then her intestines were disemboweled out of her stomach. Sorry if you're eating right now. And she held her intestines in and she survived. Whoa. What the fuck? Wow. That is crazy. And apparently the person who attacked her or the multiple people that attacked her have been released from jail. Okay. Well, okay. Shit, we're on to the next one. What's the most insane true crime story you've heard of? The Gone Girl kidnapping in Viejo, California. There's a Netflix documentary called American Nightmare that I highly recommend. It's insane. A rapist called Matthew Mueller kidnaps a young woman from her home. He drugs both her and her husband and gives the husband insane instructions as a supposed ransom. Keeps the young woman for days while raping her. Meanwhile, her husband is the chief suspect of the police. And to be fair, at first glance, his real account sounds very made up. Eventually, the woman is released, but it looks weird and then is labeled a gone girl by the police. Because movies, of course, inform reality, and now the cops are looking to charge her and the husband for wasting time of law enforcement. The actual rapist is eventually caught in another kidnapping, and a cop in the other town eventually connects the dots and ends the ordeal of the couple. So wait a minute. So does she actually is released? Oh, so homeboy kidnaps her. He rapes her for a little bit and then he just sets her ass free. And then the police are like, well, yo, we found your wife. Like she was walking around aimlessly or whatever. But I mean, she wasn't kidnapped. Like the fuck are you doing, man? You know what I mean? But I get in that then they just labeled her a gone girl because she wasn't technically gone at the time they found her. And then they find homeboy and they're like, oh shit, this dude is a real problem. Holy crap, everything she went through actually fucking happened and we labeled her a gone girl, and in reality homeboy just busted a couple nuts in her forcefully and let her go. Like, oh shit. Okay. Wow. That's surprising. Damn. Sheesh. Talk about a traumatic ass story. Fuck. Yo, these are good. Oh man, we might have to revisit this one and continue to read through these because, dude, crime stories are crazy. All right, on to our next one. Ken Rex McElroy, town bully. All right. He was a thief, a murderer, a rapist, and a pedo. All right, constantly got away with his crimes by intimidating witnesses, victims, and law enforcement with credible violent threats as he was a large man and armed. One day, after yet again getting off light with a crime he committed and threatened her another citizen, okay, he gets murdered in broad daylight by two separate gunshots from different guns in his car right next to his wife in a crowded 30 plus people to this day, or in a crowd of 30 plus people. To this day, not a single person has been connected to committing the crime. That's crazy. So this dude was so hated that when somebody finally clapped him, they were just like, he died of natural causes. Like, yo, they wanted this man dead so much. They were just like, we saw nothing, you know? And they clapped him in broad daylight. They drove up beside his car and they were just pow, 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 pow. And they just drove off. And everybody, all these people saw, but all these people knew who he was. And they were just like, yeah, he deserved it. He deserves that shit. That's crazy. Wow. Hey. Psst. So you gotta be good. You gotta be a good person out here, man. You know? I'm probably biased because I live nearby, but the kidnapping of Jamie Kloss and the murder of her parents. In the middle of the night, a man knocks on their door, shoots the dad in the face with a shotgun. Jamie and her mother hide in the bathtub. Man comes in and shoots the mom dead, takes Jamie. As he's driving them to his cabin, they pass by police on their way to the crime scene. Months go by and this poor girl managed to escape by crawling out of the homemade barricade he kept her in. Okay. She ran and luckily was recognized by a woman walking her dog. The reason he did all of this, he caught a glimpse of her getting on a school bus and decided he wanted to kidnap her. Just a random coincidence that he even saw her. So this dude saw this girl get onto a school bus and was just like, I want that. I'm going to find out where she lives. I'm going to clap her parents and she's going to be all mine. And so he goes to the door. Dad opens the door. He's like, kapow! Mom and the daughter, they go in there. And luckily, she is able to escape. The mom, I believe, is killed because the man, he comes in, he shoots the mom dead, he takes the girl, and then as he's driving, they pass by the police that are on the way to her house. Then the months go by and she's able to escape from him. Dude, what the fuck? Just go on Tinder, man. You know what I mean? Like, and you don't have to shoot people in the face to, you know what I mean? It's like, bro, what the fuck? That's wild to me. Like, what did he think was gonna happen? A lot of times I'm like, what do they think that is going to happen? You know, it's like, yeah, I shoot your parents in the face, and then because I have you, you know, tied up for a couple months, you just magically fall in love with me. You know, you just Stockholm syndrome with me. Like, you know, is that what they think is gonna happen? What the fuck? You know? And he already knows what he's doing is wrong because it's like, bro, obviously this girl is underage. You know, I think the girl was 15, right? Oh no, they just say she's underage. They didn't say an age, but it's like, dude, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, for what? Like, I don't know. Wow. Ugh. People do some absolutely crazy shit. All right, what's the most insane true crime story you've heard? Jonestown is pretty insane. I think there was a woman who got left behind and said she wished she could have joined them. What the hell? Okay. Okay, so Jim Jones was actually a really important civil rights activist in Indiana before he moved to California and went all culty. Okay, this person has been to the place where there was in Annapolis. So apparently, I guess he started a cult, is what happened. So he was a rights activist, and he started a cult, and he pretty much they acted like so they would play horrible Christian music, and they worship Satan. And then I guess people didn't know that it was a temple. So from what I'm getting is that this man named Jim Jones, he was a civil rights activist in Indiana. He starts a quote unquote church of his own. And a lot of these people, I guess, resonate with what he's saying. So then people start paying him to come to his church, and they're playing like horrible Christian music. They're talking about how great Satan is, apparently. And then this dude pretty much just spikes the punch and kills everybody. You're like, all right. And apparently there's a woman out there that's just like, she got left behind and was like, damn, I wish I would have joined them. Like, well, okay. All right. I had to I guess the person that posted it, they didn't give a bunch of information, but everybody else in like the comments of the post, they gave information on it. So I had to kind of piece it together a little bit. Yeah. All right. On to our next one. What's the most insane true crime story you've heard? All right. Where we live, the Harvey murders. 2 men randomly picked a house, went in, tied up the mom and dad and the young daughter in the basement, but the other young daughter was spending the night and was being dropped off. Mom had to go to the door to get the daughter and to do so without giving away what was happening. Under threat of harm to the others, it was for nothing. The man killed them all brutally and tried to set the basement on fire. It traumatized our city. Wonderful family, well known and loved, taken away by a pair of criminal monsters. Wow. So in 2006, these 2 dudes were just like, let's just walk up into a random house. They tied up the mom and the dad. They tied up the daughter. Apparently, the other daughter was at a sleepover, came home, and instead of trying to find some way to signal, trying to, you know what I mean, something, the mom just complies. They all die still. Wow. That is ridiculous. Now, what was the motive? What would, you know what I mean? For what reason? I mean, I guess maybe they wanted to grape the daughters as what I'm guessing. I don't know. It's just like with the other one where, he shoots the dad and he shoots the mom and then he kidnaps the daughter. That would make sense. There was motive. He saw the daughter and was just like, ooh, I want that, But with this one, it doesn't seem like there's a motive. It's just like, let's just go fuck some shit up. What the dude? What are we doing here? Wow. That is absolutely insane. Golly. But that's going to go ahead and be that thread for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that insane fucking thread. Wow. That is wild. That is a thread I might have to come back to in the future, just so we can kind of go over more of them, because woo, that was interesting. The shit that be going on in this crazy ass world. Oh my goodness. And it's funny because you only really know of the crimes and, little things that happened in your little slice of the world. And then when you kind of go through, or you kind of like talk to other people who live in different parts of the world and in different parts of, the country and stuff like that, and you talk to them about what's happened in their town and their little slice of the world, it really opens your mind to shit, dude. Oh, man. And the crazy shit people do. And it's like, for what? Like a completely sane person, we're completely sane people, you and I. So we're looking at this like, what the fuck is going on? And to these people, for some reason, that is like, it's justified. Walking into a house and pretty much just shooting people and doing all, like, what in the hell? Wow. Woo! Again, hope you guys enjoyed that thread, man. If you guys have some crazy crime stories that have happened in your town or that you've heard of, or, you saw on the internet or whatever, love to hear about it in the comments. Definitely get involved with that. Before we get into chapters 9 and 10, I will shoot through announcements and we'll get right into Haunting Adeline. So, patreon.com/MyLastWillPodcast. Get that exclusive episode every single Friday, as well as being able to send in your scenarios to be featured on the Tuesday and Sunday shows. If you want to help out, or if you're an audio listener, download the episodes as well as rating us 5 stars if you haven't already on your platform of choice. It does help out a lot. And guess what? It's for free. And if you want to help out even more on the free 99 side of things, go ahead and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, as well as YouTube. All the links are down in the description. If you haven't caught up to where we are in Haunting Adeline, I do have the links all down to the episodes there. If you haven't gone through book 1, we've gone through book 1. Go ahead and catch up with that. If you haven't caught up to where we are now in book 2, don't worry, I got you guys. There is a Spotify and a YouTube link down there for you guys. So don't worry about that. Everything is down in the description, all there for you, whether you're on Spotify or YouTube. All the links are down there for you guys. But without further ado, though, enough of me yapping. Let's get into Haunting Adeline. All right.
Chapter 9. The Diamond. It seems when my life turns upside down, I always have a diary to offer me escape. I'm not sure how she managed to get a hold of a journal, but I find comfort in Molly's angry words. A young girl that was stolen from her life just as I was, and groomed by Francesca, no less. My mouth dropped when I read that Francesca has been doing this for at least 13 years now. How many girls has she watched be raped, tortured, and sold off to demented people? How many did she hurt herself? My stomach rolls, and my throat thickens with disgust as I take in the words of a broken girl. She was full of life, in a world that was determined to take it from her, and through each entry, I fall more in love with her. I feel her in every stroke of the pen, so I brush my trembling fingers across them and mold myself into her harsh lines. She's everything I want to be. When I come to the last page, my heart breaks and millions of questions arise. As quickly as I had found some form of comfort, I'm now left desolate and empty once more. Tears line the edges of my lids as I tear through pages, frantic and in need of more of her words. But I find nothing but blank pages. Did she ever make it out? Did she make it back to Layla and take her away to find a new life? A better life? I exhaust myself with questions that I'll never get the answers to. At least, not while I'm stuck in here. Defeated, I snap the journal shut and manage to scrounge up enough energy to roll off the bed and crawl to the open slot. Hot tears spill over as I replace the journal back into its hiding spot. And as I seal the wooden plank back down, everything I tried to not think about rushes back to me. Nearly falling in my rush back to the bed, I curl up in a ball, clenching my fists, my broken nails screaming. My entire body quakes from the memories slaughtering any semblance of peace I found with Molly. With everything I have, I hold on tightly to the sobs, shredding my throat in an attempt to escape. I won't let them. It couldn't have been more than a half hour since Francesca stormed out of my room and went to calm Rocco down, who, from the sound of it, went on a rampage and started destroying the house. I immediately tore off my soiled clothing and dressed in a fresh pair. But it did nothing to soothe me while chaos ensued below my room. That's when I remembered the journal and the floorboards and found solace in Molly. For an indescribable amount of time, I stare at the wall. If my eyes even stray towards the dusty wooden floor, all I can see is an image of myself lying on the ground with Rocco mounted over me. I watch the desecration of my soul like an out-of-body experience, standing over the apparitions, unable to stop it from happening. Desperately, I attempt to train my thoughts on anything else, Zayd or Taya. But the train derails every time, leading me back towards the beauty room. They're merely ghosts haunting the hallways of my brain, and any time I reach out to them, they only fade away. I squeeze my eyes shut, frustration mounting. I should have listened. Yeah, that's what I should have done, allow a girl to be mutilated to save myself. Shaking my head, I thump the heel of my palm on my forehead. How am I supposed to live with that? If I ever get out of here, how am I supposed to be okay knowing that I stood by while awful things happened to other girls, purely to save myself? They stood by while you were raped. They did. Do I hate them for it? I don't know, kind of. There's a morsel of inky blackness unfurling inside of me, and I kind of want to kill them too. No, I whisper. I can't expect everyone to be so sacrificial. I can't expect a girl who's being abused just as I am to try and save someone else. Try to. Because that's the fucking problem. There is no saving them. Bethany is still going to have that mole cut out of her skin. All of those girls in there, they're still going to be raped and tortured no matter how many times I step in. We're all just lambs waiting to be slaughtered, and getting myself killed isn't going to stop the wolves from feasting. So what the fuck am I supposed to do? Zayd's voice whispers in my mind, and my heart clenches painfully. Pick your battles. Be smart. Easier said than fucking done. I startle when my bedroom door slams open about 10 minutes later, the doorknob knocking into a perfectly round dent in the wall. There's obviously a long history of this door being kicked in. Breathing heavily, I watch Rio enter the room, carrying a first aid kit and appearing calm as ever despite him kicking down the door.
Already causing trouble, princess?
He asks casually. I refuse to answer, tightening my lips and glaring at him through swollen eyes. He raises his brows when he catches sight of my face, causing my cheeks to burn hot from anger. For a moment, he looks furious, though I can't tell who with. He twirls his finger in the air, indicating that I turn over.
I have to clean up the mess you made,
he tells me, his face smoothing into an unreadable expression.
You're getting blood everywhere.
Huffing, I roll onto my stomach, tensing when I feel his fingers brush my t-shirt up my back. It's not my fault.
Everything is your fault here.
He interrupts, his voice deepening with severity.
Don't ever forget that.
He rustles through the supplies, sighing like this is a huge inconvenience for him. I'm terribly sorry to interrupt your day of trafficking women, I mutter, stewing in my fury. His response is to place an alcohol-soaked pad on my ripped stitches. The burn is startling, and I hiss through my teeth, curses building on the tip of my tongue. Fucking asshole.
Your mouth is going to get you in worse situations than this,
he informs me.
What's it going to take for you to learn your lesson? Getting a girl killed?
Swallowing, I choke out, I'm sorry. A loud booming laugh bursts from his throat. I snap my head to him, enraged as his shoulders shake with mirth. His dark eyes are twinkling with the first real emotion I've seen thus far. It's almost as terrifying as him being angry. You're laughing at me? I say with disbelief.
Baby girl, I'm not the one you need to be afraid of. I much prefer that mouth of yours.
You just said...
You mouth off without thinking it through, and that's what you need to learn to control.
He cuts in, his smile dimming, but his eyes still alight with amusement.
As sexy as your fire is, princess, that's the last thing you want in this place.
I curl my lip in disgust, thumping my head back on the bed while he resumes cleaning up my back. Don't call me sexy, I snap, only because he's right and I have nothing better to say.
Z gonna kill me for it?
He challenges airily, feigning indifference. Although, that's not how he sounded when I awoke in that van and overheard Rick and him discussing if the society will offer them protection from Zayd's wrath. I shrug. He's going to kill you anyway. so I guess it doesn't matter. He's quiet, and just when I'm convinced that he's not going to say anything at all, I hear him whisper under his breath.
I know.
As Rio is leaving, Francesca comes barreling down the hallway, her heels resounding on the floor. Her hand wraps around Rio's arm, stopping him at the door. Is her back worse? He shakes his head.
Nah, they're superficial. She'll be fine.
He answers, though his last words sound like they have a double meaning. When she turns away from him, he casts a wink over his shoulder before walking off, leaving me confused. He's so fucking hot and cold. Francesca storms into the room, appearing frazzled with her wild hair and eyes. Her dress is ripped at the collar, and I wonder just what kind of tantrum Rocco was throwing. Get in the beauty room now. Her abrasive footsteps carry her right back out of the room. I scramble from the bed, rubbing my dry eyes while I hurry after her. Rio clipped my broken nails and cleaned them up for me, but I still feel broken. Every step is a reminder of what happened in that room, and my stomach turns as I draw closer. It takes all my strength to focus on the lineup of girls and not the spot where I lost my mind. None of them catch my eye, except for Sydney. Her bottom lip is fitted snugly beneath her crooked front teeth as she bites back a grin. She finds this funny, and I decide that Sydney, I do hate. Ignoring the psycho bitch, I search out Bethany, and a lump forms in my throat when I spot a bloody open wound where her mole used to be. My chest tightens, the confirmation feeling like sharp knives grazing my nerve endings. I was raped. For nothing. Fuck. I knew that, but it still feels like getting fucked all over again. Clearing my throat, I stand straighter, embarrassment and shame burning my cheeks. I don't know why. It's not like being raped is something I should be ashamed of, maybe because I feel so fucking stupid. Today was supposed to be prepping for the culling, but you had to go and cause a distraction. Francesca snipes at me. My heart sinks like a stone in water, too preoccupied with her words to feel embarrassed. Molly mentioned the culling in her entries, but she didn't go into detail about what it was. Only implied that she was being hunted. Licking my cracked lips, I ask, "What's the culling?" Francesca smirks. It means to hunt animals. The men will hunt, and you, my dear, are the prey. My chest tightens, but deep down, I knew that answer already. I just didn't want to believe it. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised that they actually fucking hunt women like we're game that will be shot and mounted above a fireplace. This is purely for sport. To laugh and get their rocks off while a bunch of girls run for their lives and what, try to avoid being hit with a fucking bullet or something? I have to fight to keep down the urge to vomit. I don't want to be hunted. And it seems that's all my life has been for the past several months. Francesca casts her gaze down the line. The event will take place later this week, and I have an important client visiting. Xavier Delano. He is one of the top buyers in the market, and if you're lucky, you'll be selected for auction. But you will only be selected if you are deemed worthy after the culling. Her glacial eyes find me, an aberrant expression twisting her features. Except you. You look repulsive. I swallow the retort sitting on my tongue and nod my head in acceptance, like a good little captive. Not like I fucking want to be selected anyway. Guess I should be glad I'm covered head to toe in bruises. She clicks her tongue as if she finds me stupid. You will still be expected to participate in the culling. Of fucking course I am. What's another injury? Alongside Xavier, we have several other potential buyers coming here as well. You want to make the best impression on these men. I won't tolerate any insolence, you understand? Mid-speech, her eyes drift to the other girls, but by the time she ends her sentence, her gaze has locked back onto me. I flatten my lips into a hard line and nod once. The other girls also acknowledge her order with a dip of their chins. The less interest they have in you, the less likely you are to leave my house, and you know what that means? That means that I don't produce the best girls, and I will get very fucking angry if that ever becomes the case. How aren't her teeth rotten from the vile things she spews all day? It takes tremendous effort to keep my face blank with the turmoil rolling through me. She approaches me slowly. Let's run some scenarios. What do you do when a man asks you to get on your knees for him? Get on my knees, I answer, my voice hoarse. And when he tells you to unfasten his pants and take out his cock? Do as he says. She nods, studying me closely. And then what? Bite his dick off. I know what the obvious answer is. Nevertheless, I also know what controlling men truly get off on. Power. Wait for him to give me permission. Surprise flickers across her irises, and I hate the reaction that look pulls out of me. The last thing I want to do is make a sex trafficker proud, but in all honesty, it's precisely what I need to do. I just don't want to feel it. During our training lessons, Zayd had taught me a lot about human trafficking and how I could escape it, should the society ever come for me. Get them to trust you, make them see you as a human being, not an object to be sold. Would it even matter if they did see me as a person? People like this, they don't have any compassion for humanity. Not when they're hardly human themselves. She sniffs. Good. And then she moves on to the next girl, the one with hazel eyes and who had kept warning me to keep my mouth shut. Jillian, how do you address them? Yes, sir, she replies instantly, her eyes unfocused as Francesca stares her down. Our captor nods once and moves on to the girl with fiery orange hair. Phoebe, when they address you, do you look them in the eye? No, she responds confidently. Why? Francesca tests. Because it's disrespectful. Fuckers. They want us meek and cowering, sad little girls who should have no other thoughts apart from how to please their master. Fucking disgusting is what it is. Bethany is next, but she's not as composed as the other two girls, Jillian and Phoebe. She was obviously mutilated after I was dragged out of the room, but who's to say more wasn't done to her? Maybe in the midst of his tantrum, Rocco raped her too. I clench my fists, but keep my feet glued to the floor and my spine locked and unbending. When the men don't like something on your body, like, say, a hairy mole, what do, Bethany? Her lip trembles, and I can see the battle in her body language not to break down. It takes her a moment to compose herself before she answers. Make sure there's no hair. Francesca nods slowly. Good. She glances at the wound where her mole used to be. I hope to God you don't have any more of those in places I can't see. Because if you do, and I find out they're unkempt, those will be cut out as well. Then she turns her eyes to the last girl in line. She's meeker than the others, mousier. Short brown curly hair, wire-rimmed glasses, and pretty doe eyes. She keeps her eyes down even as Francesca addresses her. And when you go into the culling, Gloria, what is the one and only rule? She licks her lips, glancing up at Francesca before quickly dropping them again. Don't get hit, she whispers, her voice high-pitched and small. My brow furrows. And what happens if you do? She swallows audibly as she begins to shake violently. We will... She stops, gathers her wits, and forces out the rest of her sentence. The words are spoken so quickly they nearly merge together. We will be punished. Good. She clips, and then she heads for the door, stepping out to grab something just outside of the entrance. My heart drops when she walks back in with a crossbow. I want you out of my house, Sydney. So you will participate, but if you try to escape one more time, I will personally kill you myself. You're no longer worth the hassle. Sydney gasps, as if this is the first time that she's hearing this, but I have a feeling this has been a conversation for however long she's been in this house. She crows. I only run because I want to stay with you. Well, you can't. She snaps back. This isn't a fucking Holiday Inn. Now that I have the diamond in my possession, I can no longer allow you to embarrass me. You will be sold. What does she have to do with me? Sydney argues. Because she is my most valued girl. And if it is noticed that I have a goddamn leech attached to me that is incapable of being sold, they could deem me unworthy and remove her from my household. Rage flashes across the unhinged girl's eyes, and it looks like she's rapidly descending into a pit of hysteria. When she catches my stare, she snarls at me as if it's my fault Francesca isn't allowing her to stay. Francesca gathers herself, her eyes tight with lingering anger. "Tomorrow, we're going to practice," she orders, pulling my attention away from the seething girl. Her eyes flicker to me accusingly. "And I don't care how special you are. I won't tolerate failure." How do volcano eruptions begin? Pressure. And it's brewing inside of me. The fiery magma is rising, thickening with hatred, growing denser with bloodlust. Eventually, I'm going to fucking explode, and I promise I will burn this entire goddamn house down with me. November 2021. I wasn't going to do this at first, but I decided that if Molly couldn't continue to write her story, then I would write mine. It feels weird, but also right, and part of me feels like Gigi led me to this journal. Something to help me hold on to my sanity, so I stole a tube of lipstick to honor her. I have a strong feeling I'm going to lose my sanity here anyway, or come very close. The only thing I know for certain is that I need to get out of here, but I need to heal first, and there's a good chance this culling will make it worse. I still have stitches in my back, and the pain has only lessened a fraction. But I can't do this for long. I can already feel myself fraying at the edges. The weight of Rocco on top of me forever presses down on me, as if I'm walking around with him on my shoulders. But I need to hold on. The only thing I can do is bide my time and wait. I'm sure Zayd is looking for me by now, and that makes me feel a little better, even if I die here.
Chapter 10. The Hunter. "I've got a location on the van," Jace says, turning in his chair. I've only just stepped into his office, having just got back from Dea's house. A week has passed since I got her out of Luke's clutches, and since then she's been helping out. I put her in charge of researching Rio and Rick, while Jay has been focused on tracking down the van. We hit a dead end in Oregon. The vehicle disappeared from cams without a trace, and I've been losing my mind since. She's been gone for 12 days now, and I've felt every fucking second of it. "How'd you find it?" "Finally got a hit on a satellite image taken yesterday." "Walk and talk," I order, pivoting and walking right back out. "What's the address?" He rattles off the address while he scrambles from his chair, followed by a muttered curse, a loud thump, and another colorful word or two. I glance back to see him struggling to put on a second shoe, hopping on one foot and nearly face-planting into the wall. Shaking my head, I make my way down the stairs, leaving him to figure out how to be a functioning human again. By the time I swing open the door to my Mustang, Jay is locking his front door behind him and hurrying to the car. He lives in a modest home with his younger brother Cameron, though I'd never know if it wasn't for the occasional screeches when he yells at whatever game he's playing, or whoever he's playing with. Jay and Cameron's parents were drug addicts and skipped out when Jay was 16 and Cameron was 7. Luckily, Jay is an actual genius and managed to keep it a well-kept secret from the state. He's worked numerous jobs to keep the bills paid and his brother in good health. 6 years later, Jay has legal guardianship of Cameron, and they're living lavishly. Cameron isn't aware of what his brother does for work, and right now he's too young to care. I think he's more concerned with not dying in Call of Duty to notice, and Jay is happy to keep it that way. "I need to call Michael to babysit," he says, dropping into the passenger seat with a huff. His phone is already out, his thumb flying across the keyboard. "Duty's 13. Jay pauses to look at me, a dry look on his face. "Exactly. Which means he's going to be up until 6 o'clock in the morning with a bag of Doritos in one hand and his dick in the other, running up my credit card with porn." I tip my head side to side, conceding. "Plus, I don't feel comfortable leaving him alone." He finishes quietly. My gaze flickers to him while I speed out of his driveway. Claire is determined to hurt me, which puts the lives of my employees and their families at risk too. I make a lot of enemies, and by association, so do my employees. No one goes into this job without knowing this, which is why most of them choose not to have a wife and kids. Obviously, not everyone can or will isolate themselves from loved ones, so providing protection for anyone directly impacted by the organization is essential. I get it. I'll call in a few extra men too. Nothing will happen to your brother. Jay nods, his shoulders relaxing an inch. It's the same thing I said to Addie, and I failed her. I slide out a cigarette from my pack and pop it in my mouth. I won't fail again. This is the location? I ask, my voice tight. You're sure? We're in an awfully shitty part of town in Portland, Oregon. The address Jay directed me to is a 3-story brick building that looks like it was built in the 1800s and abandoned before the century turned. The building is slightly lopsided, the windows are crusty and blackened with grime, and the interior looks to be completely dark. This is it, Jay says quietly. The van is around the corner still. Fuck, I curse, briefly squeezing the steering wheel until the leather groans. Doesn't look like they're still here, I bite out, swinging open the door and stepping out. We'll check out the van after. I slip out my gun from the back of my jeans and approach the door quickly and quietly, keeping my eyes on my surroundings at all times. Jay, stay behind me, I order. He listens without argument, his breathing escalating as I approach the glass door. He doesn't have any weapons on him, only his laptop. I'm tempted to hand him one, but I'm pretty confident he'd do more damage hitting someone upside the head with his computer rather than firing off a gun he has no idea how to use. I peer through it, a crease forming between my brows when I see the upheaval. It appears like it was once an administrative office. Cluttered desks fill the space, with random items scattered across the surfaces, toppled over picture frames, pens, and flyaway papers. My eyes scan the area as well as I can, watching for any movement and listening for any sounds. When I hear and see nothing, I grab the handle and tug on the door, setting my jaw when I find that it's open. Addie isn't here, but I knew that already, just as well as I know that something bad happened here. Quietly, I creep into the building, Jay sticking close behind me. The energy here is stale and heavy, filled with dust and decay. What the fuck were they doing taking her here? Jay whispers, sweeping the room. I shake my head, incapable of verbally answering when my heart is beating in my throat, but that's exactly what I'm about to find out. Not wasting any more time, I rush through the space, checking a few rooms, only to find them empty. In the back is a stairway with a dim light shining from beyond the steps, the only sound a quiet whirring from the light bulb. Glancing back at Jay, I put my finger to my lips before carefully making my way up the stairs. From the sound of it, there doesn't appear to be any activity, but if lights are on, I won't take any risks. The whirring grows louder as I near the top, and with it comes a wretched smell that burns at my nostrils. I nearly choke on how rancid it is, and I hear Jay cough from behind me. Well, fuck. That's a smell I'm very well acquainted with. Someone died up here, and I will gladly place a bet that the body is rotting in the same place where they fell. The landing opens up to a small, dark area with a hallway branching off from it, strands of light stretching from the back of it and toward us. Straight ahead appears to be a second stairwell leading to the final floor. Planting myself against the wall, I motion for Jay to follow my lead, then peer around the corner and down the hallway, eyes narrowing when I glimpse an open room with what looks like an IV pole standing in the corner. I can't see much else from my vantage point, however. I'm positive there isn't anyone up here, not anyone alive anyway. Let's go, I whisper, making my way towards the room, gritting my teeth as the smell worsens. As soon as I breach the entrance, I stop short, causing Jay to collide into my back. On the floor is a massive pool of dried blood, a dead man lying directly in the middle of it. He's bloated, well into the process of decomposition. Jesus fuck, Jay mutters as we both stare down at the stranger, disgust curling our faces. Dead bodies don't bother me, but their rot will curdle the strongest stomach. Immediately I notice dry, bloody footprints leading from the corpse and toward the doorway we're standing in. Grabbing my phone, I click on the light and follow the footprints down the hallway and toward the second staircase. Female, he says, confirming my thoughts. I get closer, taking care not to step in the blood. You think they're Addie's? Most likely, I murmur. The prints are tiny and barefoot. Unless they took other females alongside Addie, I doubt they're anyone else's. I sweep the corners of the room, locating several cameras pointing in different directions. Cameras, I call out, stepping around the blood and farther into the room. Those will confirm whose prints they belong to. My heart pounds as I take in Frankenstein's lair. Several machines are set up. A long metal table with a copious amount of instruments and a bed with a blanket laid haphazardly across it. He's been dead for several days, Jay observes. Shot in the head, from the back. I listen to him prattle on about his death as I scan every inch of the room. Let's follow the footprints, I mumble, my brow pinched as I try to piece together what could have happened. Following close behind, Jay and I make our way back down the hallway and up the second stairwell. The landing opens directly into a studio apartment. Straight ahead, the entire wall is all glass, giving the room incredible natural light. A massive bed is in the middle of the area to my left, with a small kitchenette to the right, dishes still in the sink and now attracting flies. In the back corner of the apartment is a white, tilled partition with a shower stall behind it. The footprints lead all the way to it, and in the corner is a bloody hospital gown, dried and wrinkled now. I stare, trying to process what the hell happened. Somehow, she was involved with that man's death, and then it looks like she walked up here and showered, Jay concludes. I shake my head, coming to the same conclusion. Fury is seeping into my vision, casting everything in red. Either she or someone else shot him from behind, I surmise. Most likely someone else if she was covered in his blood and then had to shower it off. You think she was in front of him? Jay questions curiously. Or under him, I grunt, hands beginning to shake as images of Addie being attacked by the man downstairs flood my head. Whatever he was attempting to do to her, it was bad enough that a human trafficker had to step in and kill him for it. My hand goes flying into the nearest wall, breaking straight through it. Like a malfunctioning robot, I cock it back and drive it through a second time, and a third, a fourth, a fifth, before Jay's hands wrap around my arm and, using my momentum, yanks me backward. I stumble and we both come close to falling from the force. Snap out of it, dude, he barks, sweat gathered across his hairline. I growl and roughly shake my head like a lion shaking off a hit to the head. My knuckles are split, droplets of blood dribbling on the cement floor. We'll have to clean up any traces of your blood, he mutters. She could have been hurt, I clip, ignoring him. I'm ready to storm back downstairs and beat the shit out of a dead man. Torture him in the worst imaginable ways, despite him not being able to feel a damn thing. Fuck. So badly I want to tear through whatever veil separates the dead from the living, reach in, snatch his soul back out, and make him wish he never had one. Every muscle in my body is locked tight and brimming with tension. We're going to find her. Hack the cameras, I snap, charging up to the massive window and looking out at the back end of the building. Jay sits on the edge of the bed, briefly looking at it like he's sitting in a cesspool of DNA, then cracks open his laptop and gets to work. I peer through the grime and find the black van sitting right at the parking lot exit, abandoned. My fists clench, noting the bashed-in fender and damage to the driver's side of the vehicle. I'm 2 seconds away from losing my shit again and punching the window, so I work to decompress, closing my eyes and cracking my neck. Keep it together, I chant to myself, over and over and until I regain control. I've seen some fucked up shit in my life, more than most could handle, yet Addie's abduction is the worst thing I've ever experienced. There is no control anymore, though with her there never really fucking was. I will gladly pour gasoline on everything in my path and set it aflame, if only it leads me back to my mouse. Zaid, you're not going to want to see this, but you need to.
All right. And sadly, with this cliffhanger, that is chapters 9 and 10. I know. I'm just as upset as you guys. I can't wait for next week to see what they found, apparently. I left you guys on a cliffhanger, so you come back. Ha! All right. That's going to be today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you tomorrow if you are on Patreon, and I will see you on Sunday if you are a free 99 person. Love you guys all. Hope you have a wonderful day, and peace.